This entitled mom wants to break up her son's relationship, but the disgusting reason she wants to do it will leave you shocked. Happy birthday, today's your birthday, and on with the revamped show. I will put some background first. I, 18 male, have just finished moving in with my girlfriend, 18, from now on Eva, obviously a fake name. We've moved in my grandparents' old house. They moved into a smaller place years ago, and my mother was to make sure it was in good condition, which she did not. In 5 years, of course it didn't become a desolate ruin, but still the time in which nothing was done there took its toll. Several months ago, even long before Rona was a thing, I had a dispute with my mother about my relationship with Eva and my, at the time, insane workload, which led me to consideration of moving out and subsequently doing it. When my grandparents found out that I'm staying in dorms and looking for a place to move in with Eva, they offered their old house, under the condition that we'll fix it up. Then Rona happened and almost everything was immediately closed down. The time has come. My grandparents proposed that Eva and I stay in their house during the pandemic. Well, months have passed. Eva and I were almost done with everything that is needed to move in completely when my mother came around, asking if she can stay for some time, because she and my dad need some time apart. I wonder why. This was already when almost all restrictions were lifted, so Eva and I have found jobs, so my mother is there alone with Eva's dog, from now on Snickers, which she took along, obviously because the two can't exist, and to be honest, I got to love him as well during the past months, without each other. Important for later. Now since she's home alone, you'd expect her to do something, right? Well, no. I mean, if you're staying at someone's and make them do concessions for your comfort for longer periods of time, weeks or months, it's a basic politeness to at least help by doing little things, and try not to add even more work. Right? My problem is that all she was doing is sitting and watching TV and did not do anything other than get in the way, add work, complain about everything, interrupt even the tiny bit of privacy Eva and I got. Dog fed? Yes, but not enough. Dog bored? Yes. Simple meal cooked? No. Work? Added for me and Eva to do it. Chips and similar stuff? Expenses skyrocketed and crumbs were everywhere. Hotel? Travago. Yeah, I might sound harsh and as a jerk here for expecting a guest to do jobs around my house, but all I wanted and asked her to do is to clean up the mess that she has made, fill a bowl, throw a tennis ball a few times, and to make some packet meals for the evening. One of the arguments regarding this was, exactness not guaranteed, I asked what I should do for the evening and for the next day. Mum said that she doesn't care. Eva said that a homemade pizza for the evening and mashed potatoes with schnitzel for the next day would be good. Pizza and mashed potatoes with schnitzel. As I'm midway through the process of putting all the things on the pizza, Mum comes and says, I don't want pizza or schnitzel. It all was not long ago. I'm sorry, but you said you didn't care. If you mind, you can take leftover goulash from yesterday or make yourself a packet soup. Don't talk to me like that. Then stop complaining. If you have such a problem with what we're cooking, just cook yourself. Don't disrespect me like that. I gave birth to you. I cared for you. Raised you. Cool and all, but I don't remember complaining about what food you made. Shut up. You have no right to talk to me like that. But unless you calm down, I have full right to tell you to get out of this house. A few days have passed, and Eva noticed my mother has dropped a cookie, the one half coated in chocolate, near Snickers. Chocolate is poisonous for dogs. My mother likely fully well knew she dropped it, and obviously Snickers, with his state-of-art detection of food on ground, immediately went to examine the cookie. Eva luckily took it before Snickers could eat it. I'm sorry, but you have to be careful with chocolate around Snickers. He almost ate the cookie you dropped. So, you feed him cookies all the time? Yes, those are cookies I make specifically for him, but what you dropped might kill him. Oh, come on. There's just a little chocolate on it. Just please be careful. Pfft, just a stupid dirty flea bag. My mother has thrown a massive crap into a massive fan. Eva is in general very easy to tick off. This applies twice when it regards someone or something she deeply cares about and loves. I could literally see Eva turn bright red from rage with smoke coming out of her ears. Listen here, the stupid dirty flea bag, given the amount of crap that I have to clean up after you every freaking day, he's way more hygienic and intelligent than you are. Quit it, you two. Listen here, you cheeky, disrespectful bitch. You have no reason or right to shout at me like that. I, again, unsuccessfully tried to break it up before they do something worse, and at this point, Snickers started to growl and bark at my mother, so I had to drag him outside or he might attack her. And given he's of the bigger and stronger breed, that would not be good. Yeah? And you have no freaking right to call me these names. Just continue. You're proving that you're just a little insolent immigrant filth bitch. Just look at the crap I give about you, what you think about me. Just continue. You're just proving that you're narcissistic and xenophobic, that the only good thing about you is giving birth to OP. I finally got back, and I will spare you the further insults. Basically ended up with me kicking out my mother, and with Eva crying curled up in a ball on a bed while sobbing, "I'm so sorry." I pieced it together and figured that my mother was trying to break me and Eva apart all along. Eva and I get our licenses and a car from her parents this week, which means full independence, which means that my mother's plans to prevent me from moving in with Eva have failed, and that I won. Both battle against my narcissistic entitled mother and lottery of life by moving in with the person I love. Yes, Eva might not have behaved accordingly, but neither did my mother for the past 2 freaking years, since Eva and I started to have something between us. Okay, so I'm just trying to work it out. Was the mother just lazy and not cleaning up after herself because that's in her nature? Or was it purely because she's trying to break them up? I don't know, maybe it was both. In any case, it's pretty messed up to use your own marital problems and separation as a means to then try and break up your son's relationship, in which he seems very happy. The only thing it seems that you're going to end up accomplishing is distancing yourself from your son even more. For context and background, this took place when I was 20 and worked in a local shop where I grew up. Unfortunately, this area in my city is known for being the hub for entitled parents. Snooty and posh, to put it nicely. When I worked there, I had a lot of encounters with entitled parents, but there were a handful of customers who were absolutely lovely. Posh as anything, but as kind as can be. Sadly, none of these nice people are in the story. The store was located within a 2-minute walk from a primary school. Every Monday to Friday, when the clock hits 3:05 p.m., the shop basically becomes a scene from an apocalypse movie, where the public go crazy trying to grab supplies in stores, except with kids. It's also one-manned, meaning there is only one staff member in at a time, mainly because the store is pretty small. So between 3 and 3:05, you have to get everything you need and lock yourself behind the counter, because it is impossible to move around once the kids are in. The parents typically waiting outside and chatting to each other, while sometimes the parents wait in store on their phones. Basically leaving it to whoever is working to watch their kids. The story. So 3:05 p.m. hits, and the horde of kids come in, screaming and laughing as usual. According to my co-workers, they tend to all come to the counter at once and never queue, but I have never had that issue. Sure, some kids try to skip, but they knew if they do when I'm in, I will ignore them and make them wait till the end. The queue was forming when I noticed a boy, about 8 years old, storming around, our EK of today. Something was off about the kid, so I served the kids in the queue. I also had an eye on EK. I noticed EK started acting shifty as he kept looking over his shoulder at a woman on her phone, our EM, and acting like he was up to something. I started to get concerned, but decided to keep an eye on him and continue serving the kids. That's when I heard a slight banging sound. I looked to see where EK was, but I couldn't see him at all, so I checked the CCTV, which had a link up to my till to show the other room. There he was, kicking a tall stand holding confectionery. I stopped serving the kids were well mannered and patient, bless them, and called over to EM. She didn't respond. I called over again trying to get her attention. Still no response. Oh, did I forget to mention she was literally 6 feet away from me. So I tried again, and yet again I was ignored. I checked the camera again and EK was still kicking the stand, but now the stand was wobbling. I panicked as the kid is guaranteed to get an injury if he continued. I called over to the next room, telling the kid I can see him and to stop. I saw he heard me based on his reaction in the camera, but still decided to kick the stand. I called again, and the same thing happened. This time, EK visibly mocking me while he kicked it. So again, I stopped service, but this time went through to the kid as EM was still ignoring everything around her. I yelled at the kid from the archway so I could still see the till. Hey kid, I told you to knock that off. Unless you want to pay for the damage you're doing, then I suggest that you cut it out. The kid looked at me as if he had never been told off before, and I went back to the counter and continued serving the kids. As I was serving them, EM approached the counter with EK sobbing behind her.
What the heck did you do to my son?
I looked up and EM was screaming uncontrollably at me.
The heck is wrong with you screaming at a child?
I told the woman that I tried to get her attention multiple times, and she chose to ignore me. Even called to her saying what she looked like to get her attention. EM ignored me and told me that didn't matter and that I had no right to yell at her kid. I told her calmly that EK was kicking a stand that could have fallen on him, as well as the fact EK was damaging store property. Then EM ignored what I was saying and chose a different approach to try and defend her child by focusing on my appearance. Although I was in the store uniform, a black t-shirt and a black skirt, my figure is hard to hide. I have an exaggerated hourglass figure, so even if I wore very conservative clothing, it is still hard to conceal. I'm not a fan of people drawing attention to it. EM started spouting how I had no right to yell at her son, then adding,
I'll have you fired for this. I'm shocked you still have a job considering how provocatively dressed around children.
That completely threw me off. I tried to ignore it and told EM to just watch EK from now on, but EM decided to continue. She told me how disgusting I was, how her precious baby shouldn't be exposed to my body, and how I was clearly desperate for attention because I was exposing my figure for their husbands, saying how she would complain to the owner, who is a dear friend, and have me fired for my inappropriate appearance. I told EM to stop, that her comments were highly inappropriate, and told her to leave. Also telling her that the owner is actually my best friend. He got me the job. She kept saying,
well, I'm only saying what everyone is thinking. You are disgusting. Yelling at children and dressing like a Thor for attention. Absolutely disgusting. You should be ashamed. This is not the place for,
while pointing at my body,
this.
I stopped trying to be polite after this and told EM to leave immediately or I'll have to call the police to remove her. She said I have no right to remove her, but I responded, damaging property, using profanities in front of children, abusing staff, and let's not forget negligence towards your own child's safety. Yes, I can. EM screamed about me owing her an apology for yelling at her son and saying what I said, but I picked up the phone and started to dial, reminding EM she is on camera. She grabbed EK and left, telling me how despicable I am and telling me how I better not have kids. I didn't call the police and just put the phone down and continued serving. After the kids were all served, a few of the parents approached me, saying, that woman, oh my gosh, what happened? Which I knew darn well were these people's attempts to get gossip. I just told them, it's been handled, but thanks for your concern. What is with these entitled parents and not taking responsibility for their children in public? Is it because they're not in their own homes? So it's like, if they destroy property, well, it's not my problem. It doesn't belong to me. And then imagine getting upset because the employee actually cared about the safety of your child and their behavior that they were damaging property. It's only going to incentivize the child to continue their bad behavior. They'll never learn. Submit your story to be read on the channel at VoiceyHereStories@gmail.com and join our Voicey veteran community at r/VoiceyHere. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. Alright, Voicey veterans, I'll see you in the next one.